this place is. The timekeepers have built quite the circus. And I see the clowns are playing their parts to perfection.
Big metaphor guy. I love it. Makes you sound super smart.
I am smart.
I know.
Okay.
Okay.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Luke's TV Reviews. The Marvel train keeps on chugging along with their newest venture on Disney+, a television series on one of the most mischievous characters within the MCU, Loki. Following on from the events of Avengers Endgame, where the Loki, after the Battle of New York, escapes with the Tesseract, he is soon accosted by an organization known as the TVA, a secret group that work tirelessly to preserve the sacred timeline. Loki finds himself at the center of trying to uncover the mystery behind this institution, as well as the identity of someone trying to tear it apart. Now, before we go any further, I am issuing a spoiler warning. If you have yet to see any of Loki, or specifically the season finale, go and watch one of my other videos, and then come on back once you are all caught up. So if, like many people, you were a little concerned that Marvel may be running on empty after the gargantuan that was Avengers Endgame, then fear not. Because I'm confident in saying that Loki is the best thing Marvel has done since Endgame. Not only is this show up there with some of the best content that the MCU has produced so far, but it does provide some game-changing ramifications for the MCU going forward. This is totally setting up Phase 4. But before we dive into the juicy details of the final few episodes, I do just want to say I loved the first 2 episodes of this show and how well it built this world. Truthfully, I didn't think a Loki solo show would work. I thought that the character of Loki had a very nice closure through the events of Thor Ragnarok and eventually his death in Infinity War. But it didn't take Marvel long to work their magic and just convince me that everything I thought was entirely wrong and that I did need this show in my life. The show reintroduces us to a Loki who had yet to earn his redemption in films like Thor: The Dark World and Ragnarok. This Loki is more conniving and malicious, but that is until the TVA get their hands on him and give him the biggest reality check in the universe and show him his future life according to the sacred timeline, his reparations with his brother Thor, as well as his eventual death. And Tom Hiddleston does a terrific job in this show, as he has always done with the character of Loki. Watching him flick through these moments that he has yet to experience, him bonding or reconnecting with Thor, Thanos snapping his life away. He's always believed that he is a character that can get himself out of any situation, but he also knows deep down he's been kind of a loner, and to see his life back with Thor, albeit in a bit of a weird spot, and then him encounter a situation that he can't escape, you can see the impact that it has on him. And that's where we also meet Owen Wilson's Mobius. Wow. Their dichotomy really helped build a foundation for this show and introduce audiences to the world of the TVA. And let's just talk about the TVA for a second. I honestly don't think I've seen this good of world building since we were introduced to the Wizarding World in Harry Potter. Director Kate Herron and showrunner Michael Waldron pull out all the stops to craft the TVA, their rules and regulations, and the look of this world they operate in to be unlike anything you've ever seen before. Obviously, Waldron has a bit of experience messing around with time because he used to work on Rick and Morty, but I loved everything about the TVA, from the timekeepers to pruning people. I just think it was so well done. Now, episode 3 was where it took a bit of a different path. It was, to me, the only episode that felt a bit like filler. Now, we're introduced to Sylvie, a female variant of Loki, who I was a big fan of her character. I think Sophia Martino did a great job in her performance, but I just thought this episode in particular was a bit stale. I thought that the character development of episode 3 between Loki and Sylvie was well done. However, after the fascinating introduction to the TVA, it felt a bit jarring to just be ripped away from it so suddenly. Thankfully though, the episode did redeem itself with a brilliant one-er across this alien city as Loki and Sylvie are racing against time to board a spaceship. The rest of the show really kicked into high gear from episode 4 onwards. The hypocrisy of the TVA is revealed as they take people who had lives and then brainwash them to recruit them for their own purposes. And we finally meet the Timekeepers, only to find out they are nothing more than powerless drones. Loki is then pruned and sent to the end of time itself, where he meets a bunch of different variant Lokis, one of which is like a classic Loki played by Richard E. Grant, a child Loki, and an alligator Loki. Just go with it. Yet again, the show didn't fail to impress, really helping build this bizarre relationship between Loki and Sylvie, as well as expanding upon the different powers that a Loki can possess. Watching the older Loki build an apparition of Asgard from the ground was just staggering. However, then we reach the finale. Now, this episode mostly consisted of just dialogue between Loki, Sylvie, and one other person. Yeah, we get a bit of Judge Renslayer and Mobius on the side, but predominantly the main meat of the episode was between these three characters. Walking into the castle, fans' heads were spinning about who could be behind the TVA, behind the keeping the sacred timeline. Was it a variant of Loki? Was it perhaps Miss Minutes? Now, in the show itself, I don't think the character is ever specifically named. He gets a couple pseudonyms such as He Who Remains, but the character is not named. However, if like me, you have been keeping your ear to the ground involving Marvel casting news, that when Jonathan Majors showed up in this episode, you knew exactly who that was, and that's Kang the Conqueror. And what I love in this final episode is that there wasn't a temptation to have some big gigantic battle to close out the series. No time-jumping, reality-bending final act. It's just a conversation, a battle of wits between three supreme intellectuals. Majors does such an amazing job at displaying the duplicitous nature of Kang, bearing in mind that this is supposed to be the good variant of Kang. So God only knows how messed up and diabolical these other variants are. I love the fact that he's able to outsmart two Lokis into getting what he truly wants, and that is complete and utter chaos. The show ends with the timeline branching out, the multiverse has been born, and we cut back to the TVA headquarters with Mobius and Hunter B-15, who just don't remember who Loki is. So when I say that Loki drastically changes the MCU, there's no turning back from this point on. We now have the biggest threat on our hands since Thanos with Kang the Conqueror, and it's already been confirmed he's going to be a cross-movie villain as well, so expect him to pop up in Doctor Strange. He's been confirmed to show up in Ant-Man and the Wasp, as well as, I would imagine, probably showing up in Loki Season 2. As for the multiverse, now that it's fractured, again, we've got so much on our hands to deal with. We've got the upcoming What If show, which I think is just going to be more of a fun look into different scenarios. But Spider-Man No Way Home, these rumors of potentially the past Spider-Man coming back, it's getting closer. But even with all of this chaos and all of this potential setup for future projects within the MCU, I love the fact that this show, in my eyes, never lost its way and always prioritized character and story. Loki explores both the character's inability to trust and be trusted, hence why the relationship and even potential romance with Sylvie means so much to him. Also, it's a pretty low-key thing to do to fall in love with a version of yourself. Kate Herron really gives each and every episode such an epic feel. If I have one critique about her direction, I will say that the action scenes weren't shot... weren't shot as well as they could have been. There were a lot of rapid editing where I would have preferred the camera to kind of hold on it for a little bit longer. The score, however, is fantastic. It definitely is one of the best scores we've ever had in the MCU. Similar to WandaVision, every Wednesday when a new episode of Loki aired, there was this immediate draw and urgency to watch it. The way in which the TVA are introduced and built is some of the best world building I've seen in any franchise, period. Tom Hiddleston is on fire once again with this character, and the newcomers to this universe all earn a welcome spot too. It's possibly some of the most ambitious storytelling the MCU has done so far, but even after 10 years of the formula working, I still love that this franchise is willing to take risks, and boy did this one pay off. Overall, I'm going to give Loki Season 1 a 9.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on Loki. Let me know, have you had a chance to watch the whole show yet? Have you seen the season finale? I hope you have, otherwise I've just spoiled a heck of a lot of it for you. But anyway, leave your thoughts of what you thought of the show down in the comments below. And my question to you, of the Marvel Disney Plus shows that we've had so far, which has been your favourite? I've got to go with Loki, and then I'd probably say WandaVision, and then in third place I'd have The Falcon and The Winter Soldier. But as always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.